much of my focus on this channel, obviously if you've seen previous videos, is on tabletop RPGs. That's one of my favorite hobbies. It's been very important to me since I was a kid. And even though I took a big break in my 20s, or is that right? Really pretty much my entire 30s and a chunk of my 40s. So I guess I stopped playing probably when I was about 28 or 29, and I picked it back up when I was probably about 44, 45, somewhere in that range. I think that's right. Anyway, I talk a lot about that, and I talk a little bit about books, and I have some travel videos, and really travel is one of my passions as an adult. I didn't get really started traveling until I was almost 40, and since really starting and being in my 40s, I have traveled a lot, really quite an amazing amount. But what I don't talk about a lot is one of my other major passions, which is movies. I absolutely love movies. I've loved movies since I was a little kid, watching the Creature double feature at a friend of mine's house when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and seeing The Creature from the Black Lagoon and Reptilicus and movies like that, and Godzilla and stuff like that. And I had this passion for film really from a very early age. I used to watch The Great Money Movie in Bangor. I think it was actually produced in Bangor, and I used to watch that all the time. It was great. Planet of the Apes movies, like all kinds of stuff. And then I would watch on our local PBS. They showed movie serials, so I remember seeing Gene Autry and the Phantom Empire, I think, which was one that I absolutely loved, and Metropolis. That was one of the first, when we got a VCR when I was like 10 years old. Metropolis was one of the first cassettes that my mom bought for me because she knew I would love it, and I did. So I love movies, and I don't talk about them very much. And there's a bunch of reasons, but part of it is that I really have not been buying much in the way of physical media, and I believe strongly in physical media. And I think that recent history has shown us that physical media is important when it comes to preservation of books, of film, of all of that, because when it is digital, it can go away very easily. It can be taken away very easily. You can buy a movie on a streaming platform, and the streaming platform can just take it away from you. And it doesn't matter that you spent $20 on it. It's just a file that they can just remove. And so I don't like digital if I can help it. But I don't have limited, or I do have limited. I don't have unlimited space. And I don't have unlimited money. And what money I have had recently has typically, what spending money I've had has been directed toward my tabletop RPG interests, partially because I'm really trying to get back into it after a long time away. But movies have always been there. I have a large collection of movies, even trying to cull that collection of movies. I have given away piles upon piles of DVDs, and I still have a substantial collection of movies, so I'm not hurting on that end. But anyway, Brigsby Bear, why did I get it? Well, because I could buy this for just a little bit more than it cost to rent as a digital thing, and I could buy it and own it. And I really enjoyed this movie, and a lot of people didn't see it, so I wanted to talk a little bit about it, just really briefly. I'm going to open it. I don't think that there's going to be anything exciting in here. One of the many unfortunate things, I feel like when DVDs hit the scene, really late VHS and then early DVD adoption, widespread adoption, special features and all kinds of stuff for the collector and for the lover of films, would be put into these cases. Write-ups, essays, really interesting scholarship. Okay, well, this is a different kind of, there we go. Interesting scholarship being done, and then you had tons of special features with like commentary and all that sort of thing. And I am excited to see that there is a commentary on here from Kyle Mooney and Dave McCary. Dave McCary being the director of the film. Kyle Mooney, I believe, was the writer, a story by, and co-writing on the screenplay with Kevin Costello. And so, anyway, tangents upon tangents. I don't think there'll be anything. Yes, there's nothing inside, just the disc. But now I have the disc. I have the disc on Blu-ray, which is nice. I'm not so fancy that I have plenty of DVDs, and that's fine. But I like having the physical copy because this can't just be taken away from me at a whim of some company somewhere. And it can't just go away. It can't be removed from the platform. And then like half of, who is it, MGM's thing? I can't remember. Somebody, like half their catalog just went away not too long ago. And it can happen anytime. Disney bought Fox, for crying out loud. Fox has been making movies forever, and now Disney controls it, and we have seen for decades how Disney does not care about preservation and does not care about access to their material, and they own more material. So anyway, Brigsby Bear, I saw it referenced as a gentle, I think it was a gentle masterpiece or something like that. This is just a very warm-hearted film. Now, it is very surreal. If you have seen Kyle Mooney, I don't feel like Kyle Mooney was on Saturday Night Live for quite a while, and he had some success on there. I mean, he was on there for quite a while, obviously, but it was really, really rare. I felt that Kyle Mooney really got to shine as Kyle Mooney, doing his kind of bizarre, surreal, and yet heartwarming sort of humor. Awkward, but warm. And that's what Brigsby Bear really is. It is awkward, weird, surreal, and very warm. And ultimately extremely uplifting. It is a heartfelt movie. And it kind of reminds me of, there are a couple of movies that came out from Japan that were kind of about the love of making movies. That it's not just the love of enjoying movies, but it's the love of making them. And those movies were, of all things, Why Don't You Play in Hell and One Cut of the Dead. Both movies I highly recommend. Unfortunately, apparently the director, and I think maybe somebody else involved with Why Don't You Play in Hell, turned out to be not great people. But it's a great movie. It's exceptionally violent and disturbing and weird, and if you don't like that kind of thing, I wouldn't recommend it. And then One Cut of the Dead is, if you haven't seen it, don't read about it. And I'm not going to tell you about it, but except to say that when it starts, you'll be watching it and you'll think, why would anybody recommend this garbage to me? This is terrible. It's stupid. It's poorly made. Just stick with the movie, and stick with the movie for the whole thing, because it's so much more than you might think it is, and it's worth the effort to stay with the film. I showed it to my wife. My wife does not particularly care for violent horror films, but she ended up really enjoying it, and I think to me, that was sort of a testament that it was more than just me. But again, I really like movies that kind of get into the love of movies, because I love movies. Anyway, what does it say on the back? James is a grown-up with the Goofy Kids show, Brigsby. I can't even read. And I haven't even started on my drink, which is a Soul Boxer brandy old-fashioned. I normally don't necessarily drink pre-mixed drinks, but this one's pretty darn good. It was a gift, and it's really nice. It's got a good flavor. I'm going to have a little sip here. All right, a little courage will help me get through this. All right, James has grown up with the Goofy Kids show Brigsby Bear, and the program has grown with him as well. One dramatic night, James' insular world is upended. Upon learning the series has been canceled, he adopts the old adage that the show must go on. By becoming Brigsby Bear's new creator, James finally builds meaningful connections his life has lacked. And that is the basic premise, but it doesn't really give you a handle on how surreal and funny, disturbing. I mean, it kind of deals with some dark topics, but it does so in a way that is palatable, I think, for a viewer. Kind of like if you saw The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, it deals with some similar dark issues, and yet does so with humor in a way that makes it a little easier to watch. on here, Blu-ray exclusives, Brigsby Bear, the last episode, I cannot read, extended and deleted scenes. Also includes gag reel, The Wisdom of Brigsby Bear, An Evening with Brigsby Bear, Twins Speak, Kyle and Dave, okay, and then the commentary with Kyle Mooney and Dave McCary. So anyway, Brigsby Bear, physical media. That was, I guess, my excuse for doing this, was to rant and talk about how important I think that physical media is, especially for preservation. And I know it is not, it has sort of become uncool or what have you to care about this sort of thing, but movies are contemporary culture. And I think, I believe strongly, so are plays, so are books, so are comic books. It's all contemporary culture. It's all a part of who we are, a reflection of who we are, a creation of who we are. But I think that they're important, and it's an important piece of who we as a species are. A way to communicate between minds and between cultures, et cetera, experiences, and how it is to live. And I think that movies are super important. And I worry that we are, in a lot of ways, losing touch with our culture as we lose touch with each other. And I think that that's another important thing with movies, is that they can be shared experiences. I think about people of my generation and how we are often trapped in nostalgia. Nostalgia is a trap, and a lot of us have been trapped by it. But there is something to be said about cultural reference. I can make a joke about the Ghostbusters and assume that people my age at least get the joke, even if they haven't seen it. In the way that people, until relatively recently, and to a degree still, you can make a Shakespeare reference and people get it, even if they haven't seen that particular play. I haven't seen all of Shakespeare's plays, and I still catch references to them because they're part of who we are. They're part of our culture. And I think they're important. Okay, rant over, blah, blah, blah. Apparently Rotten Tomatoes has found that this is certified fresh. I don't care. Rotten Tomatoes is a bunch of crap. I said it, Rotten Tomatoes. So I don't buy into any of that. I also don't buy into the Oscars, the Golden Globes, or any of that crap. It's all popularity contests. It's all about who greased whose palms. Watch the movies that you like. Share them with the people that you like. And help keep a culture and an art alive. So anyway, Brigsby Bear, check it out. It's not expensive to buy. Get some physical media. And that's it for me. Take care.